Why did you go through the trouble of listening and talking to all these people? How long does it take for you to do it? Was it helpful for you? Do you feel like it's worth the effort to listen to those think aloud sections and go through those interviews?
I think absolutely. It was very necessary for us where we were in our stage of the company, right? We were trying to build out a retail investment product for anyone who wanted to get access to very high quality portfolios.
I have marketers who want to do hundreds of thousands A/B testing on usability testing. And I was thinking about this. I actually recently ran 100 AI usability testing on the A/B testing. So now you don't need to do usability testing on 510. You can do hundreds of that. So you could have some quant.
I'm a user first product manager who believes in solving users' problems in a way that makes them happy, makes them want to use your product, not because someone bought the product and shoved it in their hands, but because they love the product.
Welcome to US Stories. I'm your host, Lihong Hicken. I've spent my career obsessed with how we understand what users actually think. When Chris and I helped scale user testing from zero to IPO, we thought we had it figured out. But AI has changed everything. The speed of building is now 10 times faster than the speed of listening. So Chris and I built Bayesian. We want to use Vibe user testing to match the speed of Vibe coding. I'm here to talk to visionary leaders who want to deliver great experiences to their customers. My guest today is Rana Mumtaz, a mandatory CPO and product growth advisor. Rana has led product for massive platforms like GoDaddy and Spin. She's currently advising the next generation of agentic AI and Gen AI startups. Rena, in my mind, you are a product market fit expert. You are someone who I consider an expert in product-led growth. But tell me and my audience, who do you think you are?
You know, it's interesting given my experience and where the world is going. I like to rebrand myself to say I am there's been like conversations about being product led or like being product first companies and whatnot. I actually believe that I am user first. And when I say that with intention of not customer first, because in some cases, especially in B2B enterprise products, the person who pays for the product is different from the person who actually uses the product. I want to be deliberate and say I'm a user first product manager who believes in solving users' problems in a way that makes them happy, makes them want to use your product, not because someone bought the product and shoved it in their hands, but because they love the product. And it's a delicate balance. And I think there's a lot of opportunity in this space, even today, given how fast things are moving, where the craft of like paying attention to what users need is kind of being forgotten a bit.
That's very unique, angle, given you are a product-led expert, because you feel like if people use it, maybe the revenue will come because, a lot of times people forgot, the more people use it, the more value it creates. The more value it creates, the more paying customer you use. That's really profound and deep thinking you have. Not every product leaders have the luxury of having it. The rumor has it that at GoDaddy moved the website builder from a 30-day trial to a freemium model. And that's a massive shift in user psychology and fiction. Is that true? And why do you design something like this? And what's the benefit of doing that?
I mean, I think I want to set the record straight. We were planning to make that change and we were testing concepts and we tested successfully how we could move into a freemium model. I think GoDaddy's website builder is still in a 30-day trial.
Yeah.
Because, executives come in and make changes.
Yes.
But the reason behind that was very simple, right? And it's a very user first methodology, right? Rather than like monetization first methodology.
Right.
What we saw was hundreds of thousands of customers were using our product, and actually millions of users use our product. But there was a lot of churn, meaning customers would come, sign up for a trial, but they're not ready. Their business is not ready to go live, which means now their trial has expired. They've lost all the data because at some point the data becomes unusable. And for cost purposes, we were deleting some of that data. And also like PII purposes, like privacy purposes, we had to delete data. And so now they had to restart from scratch, right? And that's a churn that is not good for the users. So if you think about small businesses, the time they decide to build their business to the moment they go live, there can be a 6-month gap or a year gap sometimes. And a 30-day trial didn't seem to make sense to us from a user first perspective. And so we were trying to optimize that for a freemium experience where you have access to a very sort of easy tier, free tier, where you can build and get comfortable with the product, build your website and get comfortable with your product. But then you don't lose any data until you're ready, right? So you start paying when you're ready, when you attach your domain and, build out multiple pages and whatnot. So, and we also saw in the market at that time, a few of our competitors were also in that, had seen success with the freemium model, which made sense for us. And we saw that same people were coming through and creating multiple trials and things like that. And it made a lot of sense to just give them something free that they can use for a long time, and they're ready to launch, they're ready to pay for the product. So
I'm actually fascinating about this kind of testing because we were a GoDaddy customer, right? So how do you
yeah, I remember
test
using UserTesting.
using testing, or like I've started 3 businesses now, and every business I use GoDaddy. And then it's a delicacy between getting the value and then actually communicating the value clearly to the customers in a short time. Because if you have the user had to pull out a mental calculator to calculate the value and understanding the value, the premium tier and complex things, and you've lost them. If you had to calculate the value, you've lost them. And then, this, how do you keep them before the churn show up? It's a delicate balance. I wonder, like on the business side, how do you test something? Do you like just build something and then show up? Like, some businesses do it in kind of a sandbox where you do a control group testing before you roll out something big. So you kind of have a control environment before something big is released. Some companies just do A/B testing and see that end results, and then it's like yes or no, and it's like if it's fail, it's too late, right? So it's like user testing is more in a control environment. It's small sample size, qualitative to figure out if this, maybe you set up a mock-up or a prototype, and in a more safe environment to figure out if this new experience of this new change going to deliver the result you want. If it doesn't, tweak until you get to the result you want. And then the other one is quantitative. It's a little bit like this is the moment of truth. If it doesn't work, it's kind of too late, right? So I guess like this is such an exciting, big change. Like the way when you guys do this kind of testing, what method do you use
What
to test
methods?
it?
Yeah, this was a huge hypothesis for us, right? And had a lot of trade-offs and risks that we had to think through, right? If we were to increase the pool of customers we have in the free tier, is it that we're going to get a lot of customer service calls? Is it going to have a lot of conversion rate impact for us? Is it going to have more impact on our cost of service, just like, the storage and stuff like that? So there was a lot of trade-offs and risks that we had to think through. So your point is valid, right? The way we crafted the experience, we ran it through a couple of user testing, sessions just with a small number of, like, you can't do it with thousands of users. You could do it with like tens of users
That was
just
the
to
past
see,
tense.
right, just to see if the experience we were building was something easy for people to follow. And were there
Mhm.
any small tweaks that we had to make so that people could understand the flow that we were creating, right? So that
Right.
helped to some extent. But that's with a cohort of like 10, 15 people, right? Like that's not enough for us to figure out whether this is going to win or lose, because there's also other impacts to the stakeholder type of business. Like this isn't just about revenue management. There's also cost that we need to think through and how it's going to affect our business, right? So for that reason, we ran an A/B test. We figured a cohort of like a month or two, I can't remember now, but
Uh-huh.
about a month's cohort. And then we just had them go through version A versus like control experience that was existing versus the new experience, just to see what people say. especially with monetization and
Uh-huh.
paywalls and things like that, people will say one thing and behave differently,
Right, right,
right?
right.
They'll say, we won't pay for this, but then at the end of the day, they'll
But
pay.
they will pay for it.
Right.
Well, I'm curious. So for the A/B testing, what's the sample size of the A/B testing? Numbers like, is it thousands or hundreds? What's the sample size?
It really depends. I think A/B testing has come a really long way. Like
Uh-huh.
back in the day, we would look at the metric that we're trying to move, right?
Uh-huh.
In this
Uh-huh.
case, do not hurt conversions or something like that was our metric. And we knew what the conversion rate was, like base rate conversion rate was. And so we backed into, said, well, what's the confidence level we want to get to, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And we said we want to get to at least 90 to 95% confidence
Confident level. Yeah.
interval level. So based on the conversion rate, then we backed into what's the sample size, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's how things were done for a while. But now with Launch Darkly, there's Bayesian statistics coming into play where you could get to statistical significance with far fewer data points, which makes it easier to run A/B tests. But at that time, I think we probably were leaning on hundreds of thousands of data points. But I know of companies now. I've worked at products where we were using Launch Darkly and a couple of the new technologies where we were able to get to statistical significance without such large data points.
I see. Yeah, that's actually doable because now we do AI usability testing. I have marketers who want to do hundreds of thousands A/B testing on usability testing. And I was thinking about this. I actually recently ran 100 AI usability testing on the A/B testing. So now you don't need to do usability testing on 5, 10. You can do hundreds of that. So you could have some quant,
Yeah, stats.
which is scary, which is, this is the benefit of AI. Like you can have qualitative research at
So are you talking about
scale.
synthetic audiences?
No, real human audience.
Okay.
Yeah. But the thing is that now AI can do the manual part of watching the videos and
Okay.
all the interview part of that. Anyway,
Oh, so
that's
you get a real, like that's already AI generated.
yes. So we talk about, you probably are familiar with like user research where you interview your users. For example, at Delphia, rumor says you personally moderate over 50 user research sections to define your ideal customer profiles. Why did you go through the trouble of listening and talking to all these people? How long does it take for you to do it? Was it helpful for you? Do you feel like it's worth the effort to listen to those think aloud sections or go through those interviews?
I think absolutely. It was very necessary for us where we were in our stage of the company, right? We were trying to build out a retail investment product for anyone who wanted to get access to very high quality portfolios. And when I joined Delphi, we had a hypothesis of who our ICP was, but it wasn't 100% clear as to exactly who this person is, where they lived, what they liked and didn't like, and what were their pain points, right? Like what is available to them and what are they scared of and what makes them go, right? And my concern was that without understanding that, if we started to build features without really understanding who this user is and what they really want, that we would get it wrong. And I did see that we were building features, which was great. But I said, like, if we really wanted to prioritize which direction we want to go to, I think we need to understand who these users are. Not to mention, we were also investing in marketing. So if you're investing in marketing and you don't know how to
Talk to
really
you.
define who to go after, you could spend a lot of money and not get the right type of users through the funnel, right?
Yeah.
Which means your CAC is going to go through the roof. And, as a startup, you have to care about all this stuff.
Yeah,
So it's one of
totally.
the reasons why I suggested to the executives that we should invest in finding out who our ICP is. And those 50 conversations actually were extremely helpful. It was an interesting project we worked on. It wasn't just me working with user research, it was also a data scientist because we had a few 100,000 users in our ecosystem. And my goal was to like find who those super fans of our product are within our ecosystem through research. While we're doing qualitative research, we also use that data to then give it to a data scientist and say, these are the factors that we're looking at as we uncovered those factors by speaking to users, and then helped him then find a list of users within our own ecosystem? Do they exist within our own ecosystem? What do they look like? And then how can we then go find more of these type of users?
That's amazing. Well said.
Right? Yeah. It was like a 90-day project, but it was
Wow.
amazing. We found
It's
it.
amazing. Yeah, awesome. I actually did something similar when I left usertesting.com to go to my next company as a CRO. It was a YC company, really risky because it's a startup, right? I go from a larger company to a smaller company, but I used my employee benefit and I did 50 unmoderated testing to find the ICP, making sure they solve a problem is important. But because with unmoderated testing, I can get it done in a day or two.
Yeah.
And I basically want to know, like, they solve a critical problem to the right people. That this is not like a woo-foo whatever product that don't solve a critical problem. And I use it to validate that this company is a real deal. That I can leave, take a pay cut, and join, and I wouldn't be going to a company that has no future. So, and then I take a bet and go in here, and it was the biggest career decision I ever made.
That's
So
amazing. You applied your own skills to like research the company.
yeah, it's really great. So it's like a market research, like to make sure that it's like an educated guess for
Yes.
the investment when you change job, and it's a risk, but I take it to my own hand to make that risk, de-risking my future career
That's
move.
amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
I should keep that in mind.
Yeah. So when you are doing, I'm sure you are probably taking advice and something. And I took also as my negotiation salary, I decided to take my cut in 1/3 and take more equity, which also maximize my income because I know exactly how to sell this, how to do it. And I take the user testing video and take the customer's words on how to describe the product and problem and use those words in the marketing website. So basically use their word to build the website. So
That's the right way to do it.
yeah, so like read this, like I use the moderated testing videos multiple ways to build a website, to validate the job. And so immediately I walk into my job. First day added value, right? It's like, okay, here's these video clip, use it to build a website, use it to make pricing, use it to direct the features the customer wants. Like one, I, validate, de-risk my risk. Two, I provided my teammates, the marketing teammates like me, my product teammates like me. So day one, I already added value to my teammates.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
like being very entrepreneurial in your job search.
Yeah, totally. So I think it's, user testing really, that's why I'm really thankful to user testing. Once the user testing give me the skill to, at the end of the day, when you are in business, ultimately business is it to solve a problem for your users. And doing testing is basically understand what your users do, why they do it. And that is a skill of every entrepreneur, right? That's the fundamental. And these days building product quick. I mean, AI can do it, right? And the user testing is not about whether or not this button can work, but it's more about asking the user, will this function solve your problem better than the alternative you have? And would you be willing to pay for it and willing to make it part of your ecosystem? Why and why not? And that's the real problem a lot of entrepreneurs are not asking because they are just asking the wrong thing.
It's a myth that I see across the board. And some of it is because entrepreneurs come from very different backgrounds, and I have a lot of respect and empathy for them, right? Some of them have never done product management, and some of them have done product management. And, it's a variety of issues that they're dealing with, right, on a daily basis. So, but this is such an important thing that if you miss this one thing, then the chances are that your business may not actually function the way you want it to function. There's the speed of like building now, the speed at which you can build something now is definitely a factor that is making people go like, oh, well, if it doesn't work, we'll just build another thing, right?
Exactly.
Maybe, fine. Think about it. If it's like a small thing you're building to test out and just like take a risk and believe that, okay, this may be a sunk cost for all we know, it's totally fine. But I'm also seeing that on a large scale as well, right?
Uh-huh.
Like I've seen companies put 50, 60% of their employees on AI products and AI features that not more than 5% of the users were using, and it wasn't landing at all.
Yeah.
And that's like millions of dollars of investment. And if you had just taken some time to like research and understand what's our product strategy, who are our users, what are their problems, do they even care about AI? Are we even landing the product that's existing right now that they're using to help them with their problems? Is it working for them? Do we really
Well,
need
I
AI to
think
just
I think we also got to
solve for a
understand the
problem that
difficulty
we
the
could have solved
industry
with
is
our AI?
facing now.
No one's asking those
Right now,
questions.
as I'm talking to a lot of the product builder in the market, the young generation didn't grow up with the luxury of abundant of usability testing tool we have. So back when I was with usertesting.com, a user test costs 19.99 per test. The cost of curiosity is not that bad. So if I have a hump, like I have a prototype, a wireframe, I have ideas, I can test it out quickly. The same day I got the ideas, I test it again, I iterate. So like Instagram, I was an early tester with them. They test 2 times a day, iterate quickly. They test with freaking ugly wireframes, like nothing was clickable. They just test, improve, and then they got acquired for $1 billion with 7 employees, 11 employees. Like, it doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be clickable. It doesn't have to be a smart idea. It's just a freaking ugly photo app with filters, right? But it solves a user need. It's user friendly. It's like it understands what users want and it's easy to use. But the problem is these days, you look at the product hunt, so many crap product out there and never seen a day of light. Nobody used the crap. Like these days, I sometimes have honor, like at least us older people, we have standards. We ship product with users in mind. These we like, okay, this is designed for this user in this duration and solve this problem. Like young people don't have the luxury. They never know that you can access these cheap available products to test with a real human mind. A lot of people say, oh, we can use AI tester to test it. Sure, AI testers can tell you this button works, this can work. It's like, no, when you build a product, it's not about this button works and clickable. It's about, do you solve a problem for them? Do they even care about your product, right?
No,
Right. It's just,
you're speaking the right language. I think it's not just small companies and startups, and I wouldn't say young versus old. I think I've seen product managers who are young who are great at product management, and I've also seen older people kind of struggle at products. So I wouldn't say young or old. I am
yeah.
seeing a swath of companies going towards AI first and feature first, given that how easy it has become to build product now, and they're skipping the entire like we need to understand what we're solving for and going straight to building.
Yeah, totally. We call it
Um,
feature effing. Sorry. That's a feature first, right? Which is, but actually, given Rena, you are expert in the space. So for young people or for people who are getting into the space, what are your go-to, feedback tools you can recommend users in the space who's like, it's not like they don't want to. They want to get feedback quickly, but they can't afford or they don't have the time. Are they seeing any tools out there that let's go. If not, they can come to they said, of course. I'm just
yeah,
shameless
absolutely.
plugging, but
I
what do
mean,
you what are your
it really depends upon the product they're working on, right? So, young or old, it doesn't matter. Like, your product manager
yeah.
is a product manager, right? It really depends upon the product they're working on. If it's an existing product and they're
Yes.
making small changes to the product, that's a very different thing. And the tool stack, you have user testing, you can even run it through your GTM to get feedback. You have Gong as a way to like look at, feedback. And this is sort of a little more like getting context and user insights, right? So you have
Uh-huh.
Gong, you have, I don't know, Zendesk, you have multiple areas where you can like get user insights, right? And like
Like
now you have AI
existing
LLM
customer.
that can like connect to all these tools and get context and give you proper insights. Now, doing, is that actually working? I'm not sure. So test it out,
Still test it
right?
out. Yeah. So
But when it comes to actually feature building and you have a concept and you want to refine the concept, I say user testing is still valid, in my opinion. We used to do manual user testing without actual technology. We would have people come into the office and look at our wireframes and give us feedback. especially if it was a major product launch we were doing, even in an existing situation, right? Existing product situation. And that was very useful, to be honest. Like we would sit and watch them react to various flows and how non-leading research was being done. And of course, user testing made it easier to do it online. But if you're doing 0 to 1 and you're very early stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
These days, building a prototype has become really easy. You don't have to
Exactly.
build the whole product, right? Like you have products like Figma Make, Lovable,
V0
V0. I'm using something called Magic Patterns right now, and I really like it.
replic too as well.
Replic Pilot is another one. There's so many, but I actually like, I don't know, I liked Magic Patterns. I'm actually working on that right now. But either
Cool.
way, like you would build a prototype, you don't have, it doesn't have to look beautiful or it doesn't have to be on brand, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a functional prototype that you can kind of simulate what the user experience could be like, right?
Yes,
And
great.
then have people try the product, right? Like it doesn't have to be a tool that's doing this for you, but if you're in early stage, you don't even know who your user is. The best thing to do is go in person and like talk to these people as much as possible, right? The
Yeah,
first,
totally.
I say the first 1,000 users, if you're in a consumer situation, and if you're in a B2B situation, first 10 to 20 customers, you want to know these people. It's not
Yeah.
scalable. You can do that at scale. So if you have an existing company like GoDaddy, like a company that has hundreds of thousands or millions of users, then you're looking at scale and you have tools in place to help you test. Now, obviously, if you can do things on a scalable way through I don't know the AI products that are good at user
Yes.
testing. So I will take your product and try it out. But there's an opportunity there. And I'm also hearing from companies about synthetic
Synthetic
audiences
AI personas. Yes.
because finding users, like one of the biggest challenges in research or testing is finding the right ICP, right users to come and give you the time. That
Mm-hmm.
recruitment process is really hard. Like
That's
there
why
are
user testing is really good because they have their own panel. They pay $10 and they get you the result back in 1 hour. That's why usertesting.com is really good for
so, but
doing.
there's companies like Respondent. There's a few other companies, Duo. There's another company called Duo or Duco.
Uh,
They're all trying to solve for that panel recruitment problem. But however you do it, it doesn't matter. Like figure out how to, in 0 to 1, go talk to users in person.
yeah,
Important.
yeah,
If you have
that's good.
scale and you're building something small, then leverage tools to make sure that you're able to like still get feedback.
That's great. If you had a magic wand, what would make gathering feedback dramatically easy for you?
If I had a magic wand, what would make getting feedback easily? Again, I would say it depends on the stage of the product and where I am at. Let's take an example of an existing product, has product market fit, hundreds of thousands of users, has millions of dollars in revenue. And now it's very hard to talk to. I mean, you're still talking to users, maybe through go to market, through customer support, or even directly doing research, but it's just one channel of all the other channels where you're getting data, right? What would be great is being able to have a copilot or something that connects to all these data channels and keeps you up to date as to what are the top 3 insights, what are the top 3 pain points of your customers or your users. I would say that. Let me just make sure I
Users,
use
yeah.
the word user, not customer, and keeps me abreast on a daily basis. So I can go deeper into it and figure out, oh, I need to go talk to this cohort of users. Let's go invite these folks and talk to them. Or, figure out, hey, do we need to go do a survey or do we want to go test some features because there's something happening here? So, yeah.
So you wanted all the customer research data in one place that you can dive deeper and ask the AI. Cool. We might have that feature you were looking for. Anyway, that's great, Reina. Thank
To
you.
me, that's just a starting. Like
This is
that
starting. Yeah.
insight is like insight at a high level is all like it's just enough for you to get started going deeper. Depth is where you really uncover things.
Yes, totally. Reina, thank you so much for showing us that growth isn't just about math, about deeply understands the human on the other side of the screen, the users, not the customers. And for those who are listening, If you're ready to build amazing product at the speed of what you code, visit at theysaid.io. Theysaid is built by the original team that created UserTesting.com, and I'm Lihong Hicken, and this is US Stories. I will see you at the other episode.